This is going to be the last video I ever make in my 20s. Sorry, I do realize that I just left a bit of a long pause just there. Yes, that is right. The final year of my 20s has come to an end, and I thought it'd be appropriate to look back and critically and harshly review my 20s and see if I've actually done anything or if it was just a big waste of time. For the occasion, I've poured myself a glass of, not champagne, as I don't drink, but it is lemonade, and that's almost basically the same thing. I don't really like lemonade. So without further ado, let's rewind the clocks and see what PJ was doing when he was 20 years old.
September 12th, 2010. I go to university.
The big 2-0. I was in my first year of university, and it was a whole new chapter of my life, finally embracing real independence. So you may be wondering, PJ, how did you spend your 20th birthday? I was sick as a dog. I had just got back from this random ass trip where I was invited to go to New Zealand to interview the people who made Avatar. That is Avatar, the movie.
Hello, I'm here with the producer of Avatar, John Landau. It's very nice to meet you.
I'm sorry, but what am I doing here? Look how obviously out of my depth I am. And I got myself a real bad flu. And all I truly remember is my friends had gathered round to celebrate my birthday. Some random dude who was not invited was eating my birthday cake. And so to try and cure myself, I drank far too much medicine straight from the bottle. Would absolutely not advise to anyone. And that night I hallucinated that I was floating through a void of pulsating colors. Again, would not recommend to anyone. Not my finest moment in life. I found myself learning a lot of new skills by just making stuff on YouTube. At the time, I had made friends with a guy called Jamie at university, and we were just making a load of stuff together. Real weird stuff. Short films, sketches, animations, music. I was really just experimenting a lot and trying to discover what my style was. Then over the course of the year, I became very good friends with Jamie, Sophie, Louis, and James, people who I would spend the next couple of years making a lot of cool things with. I also rented my first ever house with my housemates. It was an absolute terrible shit show of a house. It was absolutely diabolical. You may remember it from many videos. My God, that place was not fit for student living, but we were students and we were living, so. I do think very fondly back on that house because it became a hub of creativity for us, really.
Yeah! I love you, Nintendo 6.
I also traveled to a few places in Europe with Chris and my good friend Tom. Quite the experience. We were well and truly fish out of water for that, but hey ho, you live and you learn. So 21, I was procrastinating from university work quite a lot and making, surprise, surprise,
What is this?
weird videos. Who, me? Are you serious? Are you clowning me right now? I wanted to see how weird I could get.
I got cucumbers for legs. What are you, an idiot?
I'm sorry.
Me and my friends were just making things that would make us laugh. That was basically the crux of the entire thing. This also may have been one of my most chaotic times for my side channel, PJ the Kick.
This is good water, by the way.
That summer, Jamie and I stayed in our student rented house whilst our friends went home, and we spent the summer just making stuff together. Just making all manner of weird videos. One thing we did make was a short film called PJ Tiny Planet Explorer, which we actually entered into a competition and won an award for. That felt kind of like the first real world taste of something that I had made having some kind of significance or something. That summer I watched The US Office for the first time ever. That changed my life. My God, that changed my life. We also made this instructional video called The Pushover, which was all about showing you how to do the pushover in case you were ever in a situation where you needed to save someone's life. You may remember Dan Howell was in that video. We had a lot of fun making that. We put up this really disgusting wallpaper for that video specifically, and then it just stayed up in the uni house. It just stayed on the walls. The amount of things we did in that house, I do not know how we got our deposit back. This was also the year of my life when the clown got out of the box. That's right, I created Wiggles.
It's a fucking wine.
First appearing in this random ass video about birthdays that I made, and then slowly becoming his own character. That was pretty big for me, though, discovering my inner clown. And of course, Foursome Twister with my buds, Phil, Dan, and Chris. What a moment in time that was. 22, an age of true uncertainty as to what would come next. I was wrapping up my third and final year of university, so I graduated and I just kept making things. I started making things that I considered to be proper short films. Office Space, Lullaby Cubed, Color Bandit, Smoky Saloon, The Forever Train. I can't believe I did all of that stuff when I was 22. I was just having such a wild time making things without being told what to do. So I was just winging it. I was just doing anything and everything that felt right. I can't talk about being 22 without mentioning this though. I had a real bad experience with alcohol where I drank too much alcohol and got alcohol poisoning, which I'm sure I don't need to tell you. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing to have or get ever. So after that, I was kind of like, you know what? I think I'm actually done with drinking. And so I just stopped drinking alcohol and never looked back, because now I have lemonade, which I don't like. Looking back, 23 was a very important year for me. I finally had moved into my very first flat down here in Brighton, and it was a really lovely flat. It was my God, that was a beautiful flat. Even though it was very short-lived, I really did enjoy living there. Sophie and I made this one animated short film called Bloom, and to this day, I'm still so super proud of it. It was even shown on this huge screen at Kew Gardens before Bill Bailey performed a show there. It was super cool, super rad. Then I created something that would dictate the flow of the rest of my 20s. I just didn't know it at the time. That thing was called Oscar's Hotel. My baby, my booby, my baby booby. This was definitely one of the more ambitious short films that we'd made, but when we'd made it, we looked back and were like, this is something kind of cool, you know? We might be onto something here with this. This is where things started to get a little weird. I was told that we had the opportunity to turn Oscar's Hotel, the short film we'd made, into a full web series with creatures made by the Jim Henson Creature Shop, and we'll be working in Los Angeles with so many people, so many creative, talented people. Me and my guys were just used to working in a small team of 4. So then to be in that situation was surreal, scary, don't get me wrong, very terrifying. For a young 24-year-old PJ, I was so out of my element, but what an experience, man. What a wild experience. I had Sophie, Jamie, and Louie there creating the show with me, and of course my boy Chris Kendall was there with me as well. I really couldn't have done it without those guys. It really was a test of everything. A test of everything. Whilst editing this video, I found some old unreleased footage that I ended up scrapping at the time because I didn't like anything I was saying or how exhausted I looked. But it's interesting that even back then I was saying the exact same thing I'm saying now. It was a true test of endurance and will, and it was physically exhausting, and it was mentally exhausting and creatively exhausting. It was much more challenging than anything I had ever experienced in university or school or anything before in my life. Like I said, I was able to work with some incredibly talented artists, YouTubers, creators, traditional actors. I got to direct Patrick Stewart, Alfred Molina, Elliot Gould. That was one of the most amazing and terrifying experiences ever. I crashed and burned mentally and physically after the long production. It was such a wild journey, and I know a lot of people who still watch me now were there when we were making it and got involved with submitting art and getting into the hype of it and truly making it a memorable experience. Through everything I experienced, I grew so much, and I could feel myself getting tougher and more hardened as I endured working in LA. And then I ended my 24th year of existence by moving out of my lovely flat that I'd hardly spent any time at all in, and I moved into a slightly less lovely flat, but one that would have a great significance and be a huge part of my life for the next 5 years. After the madness of writing and prepping Oscar's Hotel, then physically making the show and the post-production of the show, and then everything that comes after that, like promoting the show, I needed to take a big old break. Sort of like Goku when he's in that tank revitalizing himself for the big fight with Frieza. That kind of felt like me, kind of. I went to Japan for the first time, which was as amazing as you might expect. We had so much fun. I loved absolutely every moment of being there, apart from when I got sick. That sucked, but otherwise, what an amazing adventure that was. I really loved the video I made from that trip. This is also a year we made a short film called Hair and Brimstone. One of our more ambitious films we've ever made, definitely one of the longest. And I really loved how it came out. Still to this day, I really love it. I feel like we learned so much from Oscar's Hotel that we could apply all of that experience to making something genuinely very cool, and I think it's very cool. I like it. I'm allowed to like it. This was also the year I hit 1 million subscribers on YouTube. I've never really cared that much about numbers, but it was a cool milestone for sure. Of course, I reconnected with my long lost son, Brad. I don't know where he was all that time, but it was very long. And very lost. Yeah, I was just making stuff, just making lots and lots of stuff, just constantly always having my brain churning, being like, what do I do next? What should I make next? And then we ended the year with Cringemas. It was this huge live stream we did where, with the help of a lot of very generous people, we raised $1.3 million for charity. What a way to end the year. I was very proud. At 26, whilst I was making stuff on YouTube, I was also doing a lot of stuff offline, things that weren't ready to be shown yet. I was still reeling off of making the show, and we were thinking, what else can we do that's big? How else can we think big? Big? Why did I say it like that? Why did I say it like that?
I'm currently sandwiched in between two very ambitious projects.
We spent a good chunk of 2017 writing a Hair and Brimstone series that unfortunately never got made, but I felt like we had something really cool and really unique there. And who knows what will happen, it might still get made. And if it does, I'd be very excited about what it could be. The other very big thing we were doing offline was writing and pitching a massive Oscars Hotel reboot. The entire series reimagined for more television type purposes. We spent months and months working on it, and then months and months pitching it around. And again, unfortunately, it didn't get picked up. I feel like it wasn't the right time for Oscars Hotel. We had some very wild ideas, and I think the world's not ready for it yet. We learned a lot from that experience though, and it feels like that's what 26 was. Trying, learning, failing, moving on, rinse and repeat. I also reconnected with my son Brad. We went camping, we fought off a massive bear, I seem to remember, something like that. Me and Sophie also made a live show called Space Trip. It was very rough around the edges, it was still a work in progress. But with Dean Dobbs and Bertie Gilbert, we performed 2 shows at the Brighton Comedian, just to get a feel for what people thought about it, see what landed, see what didn't work so much, with the idea that we could go away from that and restructure the show, make it bigger, better, more exciting, funnier. And so we left that feeling like we wanted to do more, and we did, but not yet. Because we did another charity live stream, this one called Jacksepticeye's Holiday Special.
Come in, PJ! Did I hear someone talking about me? My ears are on fire!
Again, with the generosity of a lot of amazing people, we raised over $300,000 for charity. It felt like another good way to end the year.
Well, now that's cool. That's cool. Let me try it.
27. What can we say about 27? I went to Japan for a second time. The experience potentially being better than the first time. The trip was organized by Sanria, so we got to do some really cool things with them, and then we went off and explored Japan ourselves. We saw some really lovely places. Osaka, where we saw the XX perform live in concert. Hakone, where I went into my first ever hot spring, completely nude. I got to direct the music video Monster for my friend Dodie. That was a blast, getting to work with weird creatures and monsters and puppeteered things again. That felt like old times. That was a lot of fun. And then we did the Space Trip tour. We'd been working on making the show bigger and better and more exciting and funnier and crazier, and I think we made something very cool and very special. We got Chris Kendall to join the Space Trip crew, and then we went on tour around the UK and performed the show to many venues. We ended in a full packed, sold out Leicester Square Theatre in London. Driving through Leicester Square though, would not recommend to anyone ever. Getting to the venue was absolute chaos. Oh boy. And then the bad thing. 1 week after performing our last show, I got appendicitis. Wouldn't recommend that one either. Big thumbs down from me. That one really sucked, so I had to get my appendix removed. I was very terrified. I do not like hospitals. I did not like that experience very much. And so I spent the rest of the year just recovering from that. I tried to go to a convention. We went to Comic-Con, but after like 20 minutes, my stitches popped open and it was just the worst. I tried to push myself too much, too quick. I'm stubborn, all right? I think that's one of my worst traits. I'm very, very stubborn. I don't like being told what I can't do. I'm like John Locke in Lost. Don't tell me what I can't do. Yeah. Being 28, something felt off. I felt very rattled after my appendicitis. I felt weirdly drained of all my creativity. I was worried that maybe my appendix was the source of my creativity and now it was gone. I think when you've been making things so intensely for years and then something rattles you and you stop doing things so intensely, something in your brain is telling you, hey loser, why have you stopped? What's the matter? Why have you stopped? And the rational answer is, dude, I just had surgery. But sometimes I'm not a very rational person. So I felt bad that I was in this weird limbo. Eventually, when I did recover, I visited Iceland, the country, not the food shop. I saw some absolutely breathtaking scenery there. We saw the
Aurora Borealis.
It was just magnifique. And I feel like that really helped reinvigorate something inside, some kind of creative bone in my bod. This was also the year when I wanted to learn to screen print, so I taught myself to screen print. And I also wanted to do something to enhance my convention experience. I wanted to make my shop at conventions more than just a place where you come and buy stuff. I wanted it to be an experience that people would remember. I wanted to make a claw machine. Everybody told me, PJ, you can't do it. It can't be done. You can't make a claw machine. And so I pursued the dream of making a claw machine. And with the help of my dad, we made it a reality. And for a couple of conventions, that was a very exciting thing for me and for people who came to the shop. Since then, we have not really done conventions because there are no conventions, but I was still very, very proud of what we'd achieved. Oh, I dyed my hair hot pink for a single production. I did a Wiggles the Clown VR film, and my friend Sylvia was like, do you want to dye your hair for it? And I was like, sure, why not? So we bleached and dyed my hair, and oh boy, my hair dyed and died. But it was still a very fun and memorable experience. Would I do it again? Probably yes. I also screened a film at Buffer Festival. It was an animated short I made called The Life of a Sad Ghost. It was the first film I've ever done in a completely different language. It was narrated by Joey the Anime Man, and I was so happy with how it came out. It's maybe one of my favorite things I've ever made, honestly. And so I ended the year by getting appendicitis again. I'm kidding. You can't get appendicitis twice. I checked. Believe me, I checked. No, actually, myself, Sophie, Dodie Hazel, Tom Scar, and Charlie Bell, we all went to Disney World. My God, what an experience. We had this tour guide called Matthew Dean, who is legitimately the nicest person I have ever met in my entire life. Being one of the first people in the world to go on The Rise of the Resistance pales in comparison to how sweet and kind Matthew Dean was. No, I'm kidding, that ride was the bomb. But Matthew Dean and all of these people that I went on this trip with made it absolutely amazing. Wandering around Galaxy's Edge by myself before the park even opened was genuinely an experience I will never, ever forget.
I'm in Galaxy's Edge right now. I'm looking for this Kylo Ren bozo because I got a few words I want to say to him.
What's going on here?
Nothing, absolutely nothing.
Where did you obtain this?
This is just scrap.
Obviously, very valuable scrap.
No.
So that brings us to 2020. 29 years old. What have I achieved? Back in March, I was basically ready to write this year off as a complete failure. I was preemptively saying, yeah, this year, let's just disregard 2020. Let's just move on to 2021.
Something about it tastes wrong.
Some would say this homemade lemon drizzle cake baked with bicarbonate of soda instead of baking soda was an accurate depiction for what 2020 was set to look like.
But it still has been a very full and dense year. I started the year by getting involved with a charity event to help raise money to fight back against COVID. I've been doing a lot of Twitch streaming. I've really enjoyed building a community of sweet potats over there, having a lot of jonks and goofs and gaffs and just having a generally good time. I bought a house in Animal Crossing, and I also bought a house in real life. This was the one thing I wanted to do most before turning 30. Not for any real particular reason. I don't think you have to do that before you turn 30. It was just a personal goal of mine. It was just something that I wanted to do. We'd been desperate to get out of our old flat for some time. We'd kind of already outgrown it a couple of years ago. And it was difficult to say goodbye, as you know, but you know, you move on and we're very happy in the new place. I also got my first ever kitten, Fuji. I've never had a dog or a cat before in my life. I've always wanted one, and I'm very, very happy with Fuji. We're having a blast here. She's a little ball of chaos, but we love her. I've also been learning piano. I said at the start of the year that was something I wanted to pick back up, so I picked it back up. I experienced a pandemic for the first time in my life. I wasn't expecting that. I don't think anybody was. And now we're here. The 11th of December, 2020, my 30th birthday. It feels like no time at all since my 10th birthday or my 20th birthday. It really does feel weird. There's lots of things in this video that I didn't mention, like specific videos I'm proud of, or places I've been, or events I've attended, or people I've met. And that's not because all of that does not mean a lot to me, because it sure as hell does. The places I've been and the people I've met have had a massive, massive influence on my life in the past 10 years. But this video has to wrap up at some point, you know what I mean? Thankfully, all of those things, all of those memories have mostly been captured and are online to view in some way to those who feel so inclined to go dive in and watch them. People seem so afraid of getting older. I don't think anyone has said to me, so, you're turning 30, without that weird underlying inflection of, so, turning 30, huh? Scary. You scared? You should be. How's that? Feel like your life is ending? Because it basically is. I don't feel 30, whatever that's supposed to feel like. I basically feel the same as I did when I was 20. Have I accidentally drank from the fountain of youth at some point? Was it this? Oh, no, that's still just warm lemonade. I still feel the same, just a bit more attuned with the world around me. And a little less reckless, maybe. I've learned a hell of a lot through first-hand experiences that have made me a lot smarter, stronger, and a lot more capable. That is not to say I am fully capable or I have fully figured things out. Rest assured, I still haven't got it all figured out. So what's next? If your 20s are for experimenting, what are your 30s? A time to know exactly what you're doing and you do exactly that and that alone? Because all they ever say is when you turn 30, it's time to start taking life a bit more seriously. It's time to put the amiibos away. And to that I say, who are they? And what happened to them to make them stop enjoying life so much? I'm proud of the things I enjoy. It's what makes me me. Why would I stop enjoying them to please some faceless entity? What is the point in all of this if you're not doing things that make you happy, that you enjoy? Why would you betray yourself to please them, whoever they are? And I think that's the note I want to end this on. Just a little something to think about for anyone who is feeling self-conscious about enjoying the things they like alongside the position they happen to be in life. Okay, I've spoken for far too long. Thank you very much for watching this video, everybody. What an experience looking back over all of this. I truly want to say thank you to anybody who has been following me on this journey, whether you've been with me since the start, the middle, or you've only just recently joined. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're listening to what I have to say. I look forward to seeing what happens next. And now, I'm gonna get out of here. Thanks again for watching this video. Very much appreciated. Stay rad, everybody. Stay safe. And I'll see you in the next video as a 30-year-old. Oh, gross, man. Oh, what are you, some kind of a boomer? Oh, disgusting.